Hello everybody, it's Thursday afternoon, first Thursday of term, and we're all back, and or at least we're all theoretically back. Some people are at home, but we hope you enjoy Litsoc viewing on YouTube if you're not very well. So this time, as normal, what we read on our holidays, our reading resolutions for the new year, and also some literary news, which I'll kick off with. The Costa Book Awards individual titles were awarded on Tuesday, and winner of the first novel award, to much acclaim, is Open Water. Have you read this? Isabel, have you read it?
No.
By Caleb Ozuma Nelson. Two young people meet at a pub in southeast London. Tentatively, tenderly, they fall in love. Open Water asks what it means to be a person in a world that sees you only as a black body, to be vulnerable when you're only respected for strength, to find safety in love, only to lose it. And much celebration about that award. Then there was Claire Fuller, first of the novel award, Unsettled Ground. That's about the twins.
Mm-hmm. I think she was Women's Prize. She was shortlisted for as well.
That's right. Yes, the twins who were raised in isolation, and they're now in their late 70s. No, 51, but they feel much older than that. So they have to cope when their mum dies. Then there's the biography award. And this is called Fall, The Mystery of Margaret Maxwell, John Preston, published by Viking. And since Mr. Maxwell is back in the news owing to his notorious daughter, that's quite timely, although having listened to it on the radio, I'm not sure I'll be reading it. Anyway, and then there's the Poetry Award, which is always interesting. The Kids by Hannah Lowe. Have you come across this?
What was the cover? I don't think so.
Blood Axe. Blood Axe is one of our biggest poetry publishers after Faber, and this is about her teaching, learning, growing up and parenthood. So quite timely. Mm-hmm. And then the Children's Book Award is Manjeet Man, The Crossing. Has anybody read this?
No, but read her debut, which was Carnegie shortlisted, and that was called Run Rebel. Right. And that was written in verse. I don't know if this one is as well.
It doesn't say. Actress, writer, director, founder of Run the World.
Oh. Lady of Many Talents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's worked in Birmingham Rep, Soho Theatre, Big Dream, The Crossing, New Day film. Oh yes, I remember Run Rebel. Yeah. I remember the cover.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there you go. It was this. It's up there on the poster. It was this year. Oh, last year. It's last year now. It's 2021.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah. Last year got shortlisted, and it's very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Run Rebel. So I'm sure this.
So very eclectic list and well worth seeking out.
And of course, so what happens for those of you who are unaware? All these category winners go forward to the grand overall prize, which is announced. Not that. Is it March?
1st of Feb.
1st of Feb. Oh, so very soon.
Yeah.
Obviously,
£30,000, and a ceremony. So it's a big thing. Makes a difference to their eventual sales, definitely.
Absolutely.
So that's good. Yeah. So we're going to kick off with what we read on our holidays to begin with. Quick flip through those, and if we got any books for our presents as well. And then our reading resolutions. Do you want to kick off?
Sure, I'll kick off.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the presents I got. Miss Huntley very kindly got me a book. She got me The Amazing Mr. Blunden.
What a surprise!
Which
coming off a mile off.
Indeed, I won't go into detail because Miss Huntley did a whole Litsoc on it. But it was brilliant. It was really good. It is indeed a forgotten classic. Did anyone got Sky TV?
Did you watch
Did anyone see the adaptation?
It was on Christmas Eve. Is that right? Christmas Eve.
I haven't seen it.
Still on catch up. So
I haven't seen it, but you've seen it, haven't you, Miss Rio?
Yeah, it was really good. I think you girls would like it. Yeah.
It's available, right, on catch up.
I think so.
Yeah, it should be.
They do have us catch up, do they?
Yeah.
Platform.
Yeah.
If it's half as good as the book, it's definitely worth watching. The picture of Mark Gatiss you saw me, it looked like horror.
Yes.
Which it is a ghost story. I mean, it was originally called The Ghosts as well, after all, but it's not. Yeah, whilst ghosts are very important in it, it's not a horror. But it is very exciting.
He's not in it very much in the adaptation.
No, it's not a very big
No.
part. No.
To be fair, he's not the main character because
Yeah.
obviously that
No.
gives the impression he is the main character, but he isn't. But it's good. It's definitely worth a watch and indeed a read. I'll get the book in for the library, but not the copy you got me. Miss something. I'll keep it and cherish it forever. So, and then I got loads of other books. I got Dave Grohl's autobiography. Dave
right.
Grohl, the lead singer of Foo Fighters. I'm a big fan of Foo Fighters, and
Uh-huh.
he's had a very long and storied career because he used to be in Nirvana before he formed the Foo Fighters, who played an amazing set at Glastonbury a few years ago. But of course, what you might know him best for is
I know best West Wing.
the. You know him best for West Wing. What
Rock
you
the
might
boat.
know him best for, you may remember when the COVID pandemic was at its height back in 2020. First of all, Gal Gadot, is that her name? You know, the Wonder Woman. She did that very
yes.
ill-conceived celebrity sing-along, Imagine, and it was very, very badly received. A few months later, Dave Grohl organised a sing-song of a Foo Fighters song, Times Like These. It's Times Like These, you learn to live again. And
Oh, right,
it was a
okay.
mass sing-along,
Yes.
and there was various singers from various bands and solo artists. So you might know him best for that, if indeed you've seen that. It went viral, big success. So... yeah, I'm looking forward to reading because I'm sure he's going to mention that as well, his autobiography.
Yeah.
I got a couple of Batman graphic novels,
Oh, your
of
favourite.
course,
Of course.
and then I got a couple of other novels that I will talk about at some point, no doubt. So yeah, I got loads of books for Christmas, which was fantastic. In terms of what I read, I did say I was going to read this,
Yes.
Christmas Mystery. Was every bit as wonderful as I remembered. I won't talk about it because I already talked about it, but definitely recommended. This is also definitely recommended. We were talking about Richard Osman's just now.
Yeah.
This is very much in that sort of vein, sort of cosy murder mystery, Agatha Christie-esque, but for the modern times. So this one, it got a lot of hype, and essentially it is about a murder, and there's 15 suspects. But what is original about it is that it's told entirely in the form of emails and text messages.
So it's quite up to
Between-
date, isn't it, in terms of
Oh,
form? Yeah.
very much
Yeah.
so. And yeah, between all of the various suspects. And the framing device is that it's a portfolio that's been given to two young solicitors by their boss to get them to unpick it and unravel the mystery. And it's very clever and very twisty, lots of red herrings, perfect for anyone who loves a murder mystery. And yeah, I didn't guess it at all. I got it completely wrong. Because, you know, it's like,
Oh,
you know,
right, okay.
you go along with it, you try to
Yeah.
work out, you know, as if you were investigating, and I messed it up badly. But it's maybe someone else will do better around the table if you ever go. So yeah, the appeal. She has got a new one coming out soon as well. I think it's called the Twyford something.
Okay.
So I'll give that a go too. I also read Girl A. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. That's like a sort of thriller. You've heard of it. It's very dark and very much not for younger audience, but it's very good. Also got mega hypes, so I read that as well over Christmas. And I've just started on what's his name, Adam Buxton. You know Adam Buxton,
Yes.
the comedian. He's
Yes.
I'm reading his autobiography.
Oh,
That's why.
okay.
So yeah, so I managed to get quite a lot of reading done over
good.
Christmas.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
So who was to follow that?
Diane?
I read Philip Reeve's Starcross.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got it for Christmas,
Oh, excellent.
and I also got Darklight for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
because I read Mothstorm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been starting to read it, and it might just be me, but when I started reading Mothstorm, I got quite confused because there were all these other characters and there were all these other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've started to read this, and I've kind of got to understand it, and many things have happened, and it's all sort of clumped together, but in a way that you can like understand it. So it's not really like all bunched together and then all talking about one different thing. It's like all bunched together, but then like every single person is playing a different role and they're kind of attaching it in like small bits. So you'd have like a page of one thing, and then continuing to the other page, something else happens.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
that's what I really like about it.
Mm.
Yeah, very intricate.
Yeah. So lots of different narratives then.
Yeah.
Yeah? Well,
Yeah, a
sounds
bit
good.
like that one.
So better than Mothstorm then, by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you
good.
read much Philip Reeve in general?
No, I only started reading him as soon as I joined it. So.
Okay. Because yeah, he did Mortal Engines,
Mortal
which
Engines, yeah.
and he's done the Starlight Express. He's done a lot, not Starlight Express, that's a musical, Midnight Express.
Midnight Express.
Thing. So yeah, he's very prolific. Mortal Engines is the most famous.
Yeah.
So, good stuff.
That's good. Yeah, Mortal Engines we're going to be reading in class after public speaking. Be good. Yeah. Yeah. Lulu, what have you been reading?
I read and watched a lot of Shakespeare plays. I also, I don't know why I ended up doing it, but watched and read a lot of Charles Dickens stuff, but mostly A Christmas Carol. On BBC iPlayer there was a really good one-man play by Simon Cowell.
Oh, Simon Cowell's,
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was like 80 minutes and it was just transfixed the whole time. And then I read The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman, which is a sequel to the Thursday Murder Club. I don't know if anyone else has read that.
Yes.
It's about 4 pensioners at a retirement home in Surrey. Is it in Surrey or is it near
I think
Brighton?
it's in Kent.
Because Mum said it was in Surrey, but I think it's in Kent.
I've always thought of it as Kent because they're so close to what seems to be the Kent
Brighton.
Close.
Let's
But
say it's
then,
in Kent.
but one of the things that really annoyed me about it is how quickly they get to Brighton. From Kent, it takes quite a while to get to Brighton.
Let's just say it's in England somewhere.
Yeah, it's set in the southeast of England, definitely.
Yeah, southeast. It's got to be southeast.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a really posh, nice retirement home. And it goes into a bit more detail about the retirement home in the first one. This is the sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a village. It's a retirement village, really.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be.
It sounds
that,
great.
Yeah, you
I
don't have
wanna
to be
be
that
there.
old to be there. And it's quite luxurious. Yeah.
And 4 pensioners set up a murder, basically just a club to solve murders. One of them is a retired lobbyist or like Arthur Scargill, basically.
Union guy.
Union leader.
Union
that's the
leader,
word.
yeah.
And one is just a nurse, a retired nurse. One is a psychologist, and one is very mysterious. Like no one really knows where she comes from. But this goes way more into it in this one. I probably won't go too much into it because with Richard Osman, he's the guy of Pointless. If you guys know, he's quite intricate in the actual mystery. It's quite confusing, but I think this is less confusing a book than maybe the first mystery, but this one's better written. And
Yeah, it doesn't have as many plot points, does it?
I read the first one in one sitting, and I read this over a series of days. I don't know if that affected it, but yeah, both are amazing. He
They're
kind
so
of came out
readable,
of
aren't
nowhere
they?
with him, but yeah, I would recommend 100%.
Yeah.
To any age, they're really easy to read. They're not hard to read in terms of the language used. It's very accessible.
Yeah, and they're really good characters, aren't they?
Yeah, they're so funny, but
Yeah.
it ends up breaking your heart in this one.
I love the way that
Oh no.
the policeman's become involved with his other policeman's mother.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's hilarious.
that was really
Yeah,
funny.
it's very,
All the characters are really distinct from each other as well. You can tell who's speaking.
yeah,
Even if they removed all of the tags, you can tell who's speaking.
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah, definitely. It's good. And did you read Ranagana or not?
I spoke to Mum about that. Apparently, she wrote some letters to him a few years ago. So I'm
Oh,
going to
wow.
read those first and then read the books.
Well, great, excellent. That's really
Did
good.
listen to the podcast you sent me last night.
Yeah,
I
oh,
was
good.
speaking,
Enjoy
I had
it.
to turn the lights on.
You had to turn the lights on.
It was really scary.
I'm not surprised, actually.
I
Yeah,
just turned my unicorn string lights on.
yeah,
Need a bit of positivity.
yeah. You wait till I see the film I got for you. Anyway, there we are. Iceland ghosts are really scary, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not in an emotional
That's
state
really-
for that.
Here we go. Right. Eloise, what have you been reading?
At the beginning of the holiday, I finished The Queen of Nothingness by
Mhm.
Holly Black, which is I think it's the last book. It's like the third. Cause they have like another, I don't know if it's a prequel book of the Cruel Prince trilogy. And then I read the Caraval trilogy by Stephanie Garber, which was really good. And then on Tuesday, I started reading The Wrath in the Dawn, which is an Arabian Nights retelling.
Oh, lovely.
So far, it's really good.
Yeah, yeah. So have they put it into the present day?
No,
Or-
it's still. I guess it's still in the past. 'Cause
Right.
It's not present day. It's just.
It's just been
I don't
updated.
know. I didn't
or
read Arabian. I haven't read
retranslated.
Arabian,
Yeah.
so I can't really compare it.
Yeah.
but-
Oh, great. Yeah. And did you get books for Christmas?
I only got one book from my
Oh.
grandma, and I've forgotten what it's called. I think it's called like Queen Catherine or something. She apparently read it when she was younger.
Oh, I think.
Oh, is that
Catherine.
Anya Seaton, Catherine?
Probably.
Is there a picture of a woman knighting someone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She's like some friends of mine. We had it as children, and we really, really loved it. It's a great story,
I'll read
and
it.
it's real as well. And Chaucer comes into it, so it's even funnier in that respect. Although there are aspects of it that are quite distressing as well. So, Miss Rio.
Yes, so I started The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which is what I
Oh,
said I
yes,
was going to
yeah.
read. It's really good so far. I'm right at the beginning, and it's about her life in 18th century France when she's a teenager. Don't know what else is going to happen, but
Oh, right, okay. Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah.
I also read Juno Dawson's new book,
Uh-huh.
which is all about a family getting back together at Christmas, but everyone's a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all in their early 20s and late teens, and it's kind of how about Christmas changes as you get older, and you sort of try and keep
Mm-hmm.
the magic of
Yeah.
Christmas as a child, but it's sort of
Yeah.
how to adapt to that. That
Yeah.
was quite interesting.
Yeah.
It was, that
That's
was
good.
I was surprised by that. I enjoyed it. And I also started The Amazing Mr. Blunden, which I need to finish. But yeah, that's all I read.
Did you get books for Christmas?
No one really tends to get me books for Christmas
Because you
because
never, yeah,
I
like
tend
me.
to buy them for
Mm.
myself.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I've been given books before, and then I'm like, I already bought that last week. So
yeah.
no one buys them for me anymore. But it doesn't matter because I have
Mm.
lots waiting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's all really. I
Mm.
do a lot of reading, but
Mm.
the Juno Dawson book was really big, so that was mostly what I read.
Okay. Sienna, what have you been reading?
Well, I didn't have that much time to read as much as I would have liked, but I did read Frankenstein like in one sitting, which was quite nice. Now I've studied it
Yeah.
instead of like stop and start, which I did in the holidays,
Mm.
the last holidays. I've started Never Let Me Go,
Mm.
and I'm most of the way through the last Magnus Chase book, because I read the second one in the trilogy before the pandemic and then never got back to it.
Oh, right, so you're catching up then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. And
Good
did you get?
continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't know how it ended, so I might as well finish
So
it.
you're catching up with that. That's good. And did you get books for Christmas or not?
I didn't,
Okay.
because usually I'd get given a book and then I'd be like, okay, I already have this book. Now I have 3 of the same book. So they stopped giving me books.
Same as me then.
And did you watch anything that you really enjoyed or
No, not really.
no?
No.
You all need to check out Mr. Blunden, man. Sounds a bit.
Yeah.
I did watch The Boy Who Saved
Oh,
the
did
World.
you?
The Boy Who Became
Who-
Christmas. What's it called?
Oh, the way you
Matt
saved
Haig.
Matt
Matt
Haig
Haig.
one.
Saved
Matt Haig one,
Christmas,
yeah. I
yeah.
did watch that.
It's on Sky as well.
Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
which was very sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you watched it, but I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. I haven't read the book, but yeah, it was very nice.
Oh, good. That's
So
good.
recommend that for next Christmas.
Yeah.
You don't know what to watch.
I've been watching Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh,
How
yeah,
is that?
I haven't seen it.
Well, it's it's good. It's very high. It's very hyper. It's really ultra high definition. So it takes it out of you watching it. And also David Tennant is he's not this is all it's all very different. It's all been completely altered. The story's completely different, except they're still going around the world, obviously. He's not being pursued by a police inspector called Fix. He's being accompanied by a friend of his daughter who's a journalist called Abigail Fix. So there's female empowerment. There's also Passepartout is black and French, has a brother who's a terrorist, and trying to. So there's all sorts of lots of multi strands that just not in the original.
Terrorism.
And
In Paris.
also, Phileas Fogg has got a past with a woman who appears to be sending him postcards saying, "Coward, you'll never go anywhere." Or so he's sort of trying to And also, there's still a bet.
With someone from the Reform Club.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I'm on episode 7 at the moment, which is them in
US by now.
the
I'm guessing.
US in post the Civil War, so it's really nasty. And Jonathan Cullen is giving the most terrifying performance of a Civil War captain who is in charge of the Klan. He's been captured, but it's really...
Oh, Passepartout, because he's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so it's very nasty. It's quite nasty.
Yeah.
So it takes a bit of getting through. But I'm enjoying it.
So out of 10.
Well, at the moment, sort of 7, I'd say.
That's
I haven't read any of the reviews, so I don't quite know whether people are going along with it. But he looks good. And it's very well cast. Tennant is very
Tennant
good.
makes
yeah.
good fog. Okay.
Yeah, he does. Jason Watkins is his friend who's the newspaper editor.
Ah,
And that works too.
okay.
Yeah, sort of various... Oh, Lindsay Duncan was in it, playing this sort of typical British woman out in the Arabian desert on her own, of whom there have been many, not least Gertrude Bell. And she was very good too. I enjoyed her performance. So yeah, that's well worth it. Yeah.
Might check it out. It's on iPlayer, right? I think.
It's on iPlayer,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. They did this strange thing where they showed the first 2 and then they showed the next 2 and now it's all on iPlayer.
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've
they-
Who
just-
knows
yeah.
why they do
Yeah.
what
They've
they
done
do.
that with The Tourist. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
funny.
people who binge watch it, and people who...
Yeah, but they had to wait, as it were,
Oh, right.
you see.
Because normally, if they're going to binge it, they just after
They
the
put the
first
whole
episode
thing
is
on.
broadcast,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
put it all
right.
on straight away.
But no, we had to wait for our post 4, as it were. But anyway,
Okay.
so yes, that's been enjoyable. So, I don't know, what have you been reading?
Over the holidays, I read The Song of Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way it's written is just magical. I
Mhm.
love the way she's used words just to write.
Mm-hmm.
But I've sort of been rereading a load of books over the
Mhm.
holidays rather than reading new ones,
Mm-hmm.
which I should probably get onto because I've got so many books now.
Mm.
I got, because for my birthday I got like £90 worth of Waterstones vouchers.
Yeah, excellent.
Oh,
And,
lucky
and
you.
I
Bliss is
then
that?
got £50 again to this Christmas.
Wow.
So I'm going to be
Keeping
going
Waterstones
there.
afloat by the sounds of things.
Fail at the moment.
Mm.
Yeah.
Time to do it, get double.
And but yeah, I have a lot of books that I want to read, but I got this one book particularly from a member of my family called, I think it's One Last Stop,
Mm-hmm.
and the author also wrote Red Wine Royal Blue, and that is my favourite book of all time. I just love it to bits.
Mm-hmm.
I reread it so many times and cried to it so many times. So I'm really excited to read it. I mean, when I wrote it down to remember for thank you cards, I literally wrote the lesbian version of Red Wine Royal Blue because it's just, I'm just so excited to read it.
Oh, lovely.
And
That'll be
yeah,
a treat then.
it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, great.
Cool.
Good. Oh, somebody's done he's about to have a lot of fun at Waterstones then.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Excellent. Sophie, what have you been reading?
I read the first one of Murder Most Unladylike series, which,
And did you like it?
yes, it was really good.
Excellent.
It was a big plot twist at the end. It's not who I thought it was.
Ah.
And then I read I Am Malala, which
Mhm.
was
Excellent.
really good.
Yeah.
It's very emotional,
Mm.
but it's really good. And then I started reading.
Got it with you. Good.
Uh-huh.
Always useful, especially
Always
if you can't
useful.
remember the title.
Yes.
When We Were Warriors.
Oh,
Oh,
very
yes.
good. Emma Carroll, yeah.
It's really good. It's basically she's kind of linked them all. She's also brought letters from the lighthouse in
Uh-huh.
and Frost Hollow Hall.
Oh,
in. So
good.
and then 2 other new characters. So it also like linked them all in like separate ways. So like from the first one, the American Guard came into the second like part, and what's the other one? Yeah, but it's then like. But it's told in a really interesting way, and it's very interesting. It's all set in World War II around the same time.
Mm.
So
It's really good.
Yeah, she's very good at that.
Yeah, she is.
She's a great historical fiction.
Yeah.
Sorry,
she
what?
is.
What What else has she written?
Frost Hollow Hall. I mean, we got them all up here, just behind me.
Letters from the Lighthouse.
That's
There
right.
was.
She's got a couple of new ones out as well.
What's the name?
Wick at World's End is her latest one. Up
Is
there.
it Frost Hollow Hall on that theatre somewhere?
Strange Star.
I don't know. I remember Letters from the Lighthouse was the first book I couldn't put down. That's the first book that got me into reading.
She's very
Oh,
good.
wow.
Yeah.
I think she did.
Thank you, Emma Carroll.
I've got a few. Of her
She must
signed
have
copies.
because I've got loads of her books.
Yeah.
But that's one of the really good ones because I've definitely had books that are all the visit that aren't. But there's.
She's done one about like.
Mike's probably picked that up, by the way.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, I
It was like
remember loving that one.
Mm.
And like Snow
That's
Sister
good.
and Frost Hollow Hall. I think I have all three of those.
That's really good. Oh, that's good. So you're enjoying it? Yeah. Excellent.
Nearly finished it.
Good.
I've got like a bunch of books for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Robert Pattinson biography.
Of course.
What a surprise!
I
I was starting to wonder if you were going to mention anything Twilight related
Yeah.
at all, and I was like, oh, maybe she won't this time. But no, there it is.
There it is. Clang.
Then I got a book called Tales from Perilous Realms, which is by the man who wrote The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
You mean Tolkien, J.R.
Yeah,
Tolkien?
J.R.R. Tolkien. Yeah.
And I haven't started reading it, but I think it's like 5 tales and it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I then got a book called Secrets of Birds and Bone, or something like that.
Mm.
There's a lot of books with similar titles to that.
Yeah. Probably got more, but I can't remember.
Mm.
Oh,
That sounds quite.
great. If you got a
It's
lot
good,
more
yeah.
than you can remember, that's definitely
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. Yeah, that's good. So a very eclectic bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
Has anyone watched the Harry Potter reunion?
I
Not yet.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
A lot of people seem to have done. Have you watched it? No?
No.
Good grief.
I've
What's
never
going
been-
on
So
here?
busy doing other things.
I've never been a Harry
All that
Potter fan,
Shakespeare.
so I don't know if I'd enjoy it. I read the first book and I just didn't understand why it was so successful.
Not a Harry Potter fan?
No.
Hey, you're very welcome,
Wow.
Gibbon. It's good for balance. Everyone else loves it, so.
I'm kind of a Harry Potter fan, but I'm more of a Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
I went through a big Harry Potter phase before the Twilight phase.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fun.
common.
I wonder what your next phase is then.
Yeah.
We'll get you onto a new phase at one day.
No new phases.
There are those die-hard fans, aren't there?
Okay.
So
That's a great movie. Die Hard.
apparently Jason Isaacs couldn't be there because he was COVID isolating, and he tweeted that he was convinced that Dobby would be putting the boot in on the Malfoy family again, which I thought was quite funny.
Didn't they label the twins the wrong way around?
They
Oh,
did.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dear.
Whoever was doing the.
That's not very good then. Dear. All things. Oh well, that was so that was big television news, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like reunions recently.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder what the next one's going to be.
Yeah. All right. Enough.
Enough now.
What have you read, Miss Hanley? Why don't
Well,
you tell us
what
what you
I've
read?
been reading, those are what I'm going to read. I discovered this in a bookshop in Sheffield, the bookshop that's very close to my mum, and it was absolutely serendipitous because I know Paul Kingsnorth. I've got a book of his called The Beast. I think we've got that, haven't we? Yes, which came out a few years ago. But this is 2014, and I looked at it and I thought, oh, is it The Green Man? And I decided that no, it wasn't actually The Green Man. And then I thought, The Wake. Is it Hereward the Wake? And then I was trying to think, and it was absolutely bizarre because not only was it going to be very useful for you, but also if I had done that Oxford course in
Last
summer about post-conquest Britain, this would have had come up. But in fact, I didn't know about it. And it's a crowd-funded novel as well,
Oh.
from a firm called Unbound.
Oh, I've heard of Unbound. Yeah, we've got some Unbound books in the library.
And it is about what happened to Britain and this particular man after the Norman conquest of 1066, which is absolutely horrific, as I can testify. Not that I was there, but I really can't bear the fact what happened to us. Anyway, and Paul Kingsnorth is clearly in love with the Anglo-Saxon world. And it's got 2 epigrams. This is the first one. Deathbed Confession of Guillaume le Batard, 1087. Well, we all know who that is, William of Normandy. I have persecuted the natives of England beyond all reason. Whether or gentle or simple, I've cruelly oppressed them. Many I unjustly disinherited, innumerable multitudes perished through me by famine or the sword. Having gained the throne of that kingdom by so many crimes, I dare not leave it to anyone but God. Well, I'm not quite sure how. Confessions are normally not published. They're normally taken to the grave by the priest who gets them. But anyway, this is obviously written down. So we start with that. And then that's from 1087. And then in 1125 we get a text from William of Malmesbury. Malmesbury is somewhere I went to, funnily enough, last summer for a wedding. England has become the residence of foreigners and the property of strangers. They prey upon the riches and vitals of England, nor is there any hope of a termination of this misery. So it's quite timely too, is it not, for those of the adults here? And it's all written in a form of Old English.
I remember you mentioning that.
So it's quite a good idea if you read it aloud, because otherwise my Old English is not at its best anymore,
better than mine,
30 years later. But there are sort of things that I remember, like Wapentake, and he is from Norfolk, so he's called Buckmaster of Holland, not Norfolk, the Fens, so Cambridgeshire. And so far I haven't got very far yet, because it does take a bit of concentration. The worst has happened. His wife is dead. The houses have been burnt to the ground, and he's now got to decide whether he goes with the church, what the church have been saying, which is basically you've got to knuckle down and get on with this, or with Odin and the past and the Norse gods and go out and fight for what he believes in.
Wow.
So it's really interesting about the cusp of the pagan, which is not completely forgotten yet, and the Roman Catholic world. And he didn't go to Senlac. His sons went. They died there. So did many others. And there's a lot of verbatim dialogue and argument, and then a lot of really good, solid Anglo-Saxon swearing as well. So I'm really enjoying that. So that was a real find. And as he calls it, a post-apocalyptic novel set 1,000 years ago. And I'm assuming by the word, the name, that this is the gentleman who will become, or at least team up with the outlaws, the predecessors to Robin Hood. So that was really interesting. I enjoyed that. I read the Richard Osman, and I read Alan Garner as well. I read the new one, Treacle Walker, which is all based on comics. You'd quite enjoy Treacle Walker, I think.
Okay.
His comic reading of his childhood, and I went back to Weirdstone of Brisingman and Move and God Wrath as well. Revisited those, which I loved. So I didn't read all that much, but because that took a lot of my time. But I enjoyed my Garner. So we shall have a lot to talk about, Lulu. It'll be good. So that's what I've been reading. Yeah.
Okay.
So are you going to tell us about our reading resolutions? Do you want to move?
Well, you're.
Move seat with me,
Oh,
and you
right,
can
okay.
talk us through it.
Okay. Well,
Things to help us.
things to help us, because
Get through that
obviously,
reading pile.
I can't decide your reading resolutions for you. Only you can. So, what we're going to do? So, yeah, this. It's the first Litsoc of the year, so it's time for some New Year reading resolutions, because we all make resolutions, particularly reading ones. I'm going to read this, I'm going to read that. But of course, it can be quite tricky to keep track. Now, we are going to revisit this probably sometime in June, most likely.
Yeah,
so
good.
we are going to actually revisit. So don't go making resolutions that are wildly unrealistic. Keep it something that you actually be able to achieve. Now, obviously, it's very easy to say, I'm going to read 40 books. I'm going to read these books. But, the practicalities of keeping on top of that amongst everything else you've got to do aren't always so easy. But I found something today on the Penguin website, how to read more this year. Okay, and it's giving you some hacks basically to help you meet your reading resolutions. So whatever your resolutions are, these will help you meet them. Okay, so here we go. Now, the first one is get tabbing. Now, what they're referring to there are, I'll just read what they've written here. You might have seen some rainbow-maned books kicking around on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Has anyone? Yeah, so essentially, so what does that mean, Alna?
It's like putting post-it notes on a page that you really like and like almost making like a little note saying, you know, maybe I want to reread this, or really like how they've written this, or I want to share this with someone.
Absolutely, yeah, perfect.
So by the end, it's just all these stick-out colours, and you just go like that.
Yes. And of course, the idea is to colour code it as well, isn't it? So, you know, it's up to you what system you use, is individual.
Sounds like a very good idea for Never Let Me Go. Yeah.
So as it says here, you can use different colour tabs for each category, but you may want to make a key in the front cover to remind you which refers to what. So, you know, yellow refers to this, green refers to that, and so on. How does it help you read more? Devoted tabbers say it brings them everything from satisfaction to fun and mindfulness. It also gives you a reason to keep reading and tabbing, that pleasing rainbow ruffle along the pages. So the more you read the book, the more pretty it will be with all the different colour tabs. So there you go, so there's one. Second one, reading the ad breaks. So obviously...
Yes, I was doing that with this. Yeah.
There we go. Now obviously, a lot of stuff, ad breaks, if you're watching on-demand services, you know, Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc., they don't have ad breaks. But there are still quite a few things that do, whether that's well, not iPlayer, obviously, but you know, other like Sky, Channel 4, 4OD,
yeah. And they're very long now.
Yes, they are. They're getting longer.
Getting longer.
Or,
well, Channel 4's desperate, isn't it, for the money? So you have to support Channel 4.
So things like 4OD or live TV if you're watching something live, and you know, ad breaks may be increasing a thing of the past, but they're still present. You watch live sports. There you go. There's another one. Or on-demand services that advertise during shows. What you normally do during this time, grab a snack, have a scroll on your phone, keep a book nearby and pick it up when the ad starts to roll. You can turn the volume down if it's distracting. You can rack up 15 minutes of reading right there. There you go. So there's another thing you can do.
Yeah.
Right, next thing is the 10-minute rule. Okay? The best books hold you tight. The kind you find yourself thinking about when you're not reading them, the kind you can't stop talking about. So I think we all have a few of those in mind. You can all think of some immediately when I mention that. Okay? So you have to stick with the sentences to get to the end of books. How to do it? Try the 10-minute rule. Sitting yourself down and making yourself read for 10 minutes each day is a great practice to get into. You may find your timer goes off and you're delighted to stop trying, but at least you've done 10 minutes of reading. Chances are, if it's a really good book, you look up and 35 have flown by. Okay, so there's the 10-minute rule.
Okay.
The next one, don't be, Miss Hunt, you might both agree and disagree with this one. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Now, this applies to the classics, things in the canon. It's a fantastic challenge to read, you know, these big 19th century English
these
novels.
Days, I think you have to, because the language is getting beyond most of us, even those of us who read them as children, you know, coming back to something, because they're daunting. They're really daunting.
Yeah, so a big doorstop of a Dickens or Dostoevsky.
Even I noticed it, do you remember I said with Amazing Mrs. London, some of the language is quite erudite.
I would agree.
Some of the ideas as well.
Again, considering it's supposed to be for children.
Yeah.
Bearing that in mind too.
Absolutely.
So, in which case, it's not cheating to reach for a study guide or some insight. Plenty of resources available online. Schmoop, Spark Notes, Cliff Notes, and so on. But of course, I mean, you know, you'll be familiar with Carl guides and all that.
Getting some help, definitely.
There you go. So Miss Huntley absolutely agrees, rather than both agrees and disagrees. Now the next one, read on your phone. Now that might sound controversial, because obviously the phone is, as it says here, it's the agent of distraction with all the apps that you can access. But apparently there's a tip. So by someone called Megan Nolan. Nolan uses her phone a little more than she likes, so I decided I would start reading on my phone. I use Kindle on my phone. So that when I have the habit of having my phone in my hand, I'll be reading instead. So you can try that. For extra concentration points, switch your phone into airplane mode or grayscale mode and enjoy some beneficial screen time. Okay, so that's a way to sort of like use your phone as an aid rather than an abettor. And then last, now this one will be interesting, see if anyone tries this one. Start the day right. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? If you find yourself reaching for your phone to find out what the time is, and it's still scrolling 20 minutes later, quite common I should imagine, pick up a book instead. So Indira Burney, somebody who works at Penguin, said it was life-changing. In my desperation to overcome the dreaded reading rut, I took drastic measures, forced myself out of slumber as soon as my alarm went off, and vowing to spend at least 15 minutes reading every morning.
Wow.
I made it easy for myself by turning to my comfort reads, classic crime or other escapism-inducing fiction with plots so gripping. So, yeah, page turners. They're hard to put down. So that's probably the best one. A comfort read or a thriller or something like that.
Well, you could apply the same thing to the evening, couldn't you, as well?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. The last thing you do at night,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. And then in the morning before I let myself, I read one poem or one essay. So this is a musician. And if I want to keep going, I'll read a book, but definitely one poem every morning. So poems is another option.
Really good.
It's just really accessible. You get to finish it, and that kind of fuels you up to read a whole essay,
Yeah.
which may fill you up just like to read a whole book.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so there you go. So those are all the different hacks. So just to recap: tabbing, reading during the ad breaks, applying the 10-minute rule, not being afraid to ask for help, reading on your phone, and starting the day right. So have a think about which ones of those you could put into practice, and then off the back of it, you might have had some reading resolutions in mind anyway. But now that you've heard those, you might want to modify. And so I might actually write down everyone's reading resolutions, and then don't see it as an exam or a test. We'll just it'll be a friendly evaluation come June to see how everyone got on. So who's gonna be brave and start us off with their resolution? Well done, Dea.
So me and my mum have got this thing of reading at least 5 chapters or a few chapters a night.
Together? The same book?
No, different books, but
Different.
still together.
Right.
And my cousin's had this resolution of she's trying to read small books in a week, and then like big books in a month. Then she's sort of getting maybe 2 books done in a whole.
All right.
Okay.
You do quite well.
That's very productive and impressive. Yeah. Is that what you're going to do? Is that what your cousin is? Are you going to stick to 5 chapters a night? Is that your?
I'm going to stick to a few chapters.
A few chapters a night. Okay, well, so
3
and
probably
is that going to
enough.
be? Yeah, and if you do that, if you do several chapters a night, you're bound to get through at least a couple of books a month. I would have thought.
Yeah.
Obviously, chapter length varies, doesn't it? From book to book. Some books have got ridiculously long chapters, and some have got very, very teeny tiny ones. Yeah. So, okay, that's a good one, Dea. Excellent. Sophie?
To read a book a week, but depends on the size. I mean, a decent sized book a week, not one that's huge.
What is your idea of a decent size? The one in your bag?
This size-ish.
That size-ish. How many pages? Is it 200 and something or close to 300?
250.
Okay, so circa 250. And then a longer one, how much time would you give yourself to read a longer one?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks for longer. Okay, that's a good one as well. Okay, thank you. Eleanor?
Well, I guess this is sort of reading. I want to be able to add at least 3 more chapters to the book I'm writing.
Good one.
Add 3 chapters to book I'm writing. Okay. How much have you written of it so far?
I've written a chapter, but I've sort of had a writer's block because I'm writing it about someone who's older than me. So
Okay.
I don't have that experience. I need to do loads of research on it as well. So.
Okay, so the research is probably actually going to be the more time-consuming
Yeah.
aspect rather than the writing itself.
Yeah, and I'm also going to speak to my godparents' son, who most likely was in a similar situation. I just got to check with his mum before I ask him that he'd be fine talking about his
Okay.
experience.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
Excellent. That's really good.
Who's next? Eloise.
My aim is to read every night.
Uh-huh.
Because I told myself last year that I would read 5 days a week, and then because I finished a book, I then would be like, I can give myself a break. But then I just end up watching TV. And also to read more books than I read last week. So I'm not last week or last year. So
Okay.
I'm putting it at 60, but I'm hoping to read more.
Okay, so you're aiming for 60 at the moment.
That'd be good. Wow.
So obviously, when we revisit this, probably if you had done 30 by then, that'd be amazing. But I would say even 20 to 25 by that point would be really good.
Yeah,
So, okay, excellent. Sienna, what about you? What are you going to do?
Try and read more physical books instead of mostly fan fiction. 'Cause it's a lot easier to just read online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
100k words
Yeah.
in a few days,
Mm.
but like actually picking up a physical book and reading it.
Mm.
I have a massive issue where for the last 6 months I've just been reading like Archive of Our Own. Like it's so addicting.
Yes.
So good.
But everything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
Get a good balance.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Lulu.
To read all of Miss Huntley's Asnac books.
Okay, good for you.
Well, we've got a while to do that. We've got until just December next year, haven't we?
I had Mr. Johnson stressing me out this morning. And not on purpose, he was really sweet, but now I'm really worried.
How many of those are there? Just
Well, it's really what I decide. I mean,
Okay.
And I mean,
You're putting yourself in Miss Huntley's hands here.
At the moment-
I trust Miss Huntley.
at the moment we've got a huge amount on. The only pressure you're under at the moment really is because there's so much on Radio 4 from the holiday. You've only got another 20 odd days to get through those. Some of them are repetitive, but there's an awful lot. I'll send you another one now tonight to get through. So that's the only pressure we've got really. So
That sounds like a lot of pressure. 20 days.
well, it's listening. It's listening. That's the main thing. So, and a lot of it is, it will be by the time you've listened to 2, you'll, there'll be other things that you can revisit as well. So yeah.
Well done, Lulu.
Yeah.
Good on you. Okay, thank you,
Well, it's a challenge 'cause
pupils.
there's only 26 on this course, so yeah.
Mhm.
And she's well worth. It's well worth getting a place on it.
Of course. I
Worthy.
absolutely. I
Worthy
agree.
to be on it.
There is a reason that Miss Huntley is taking that approach for sure. But still, good on you. Right, thank you, students. Staff now, Miss Rio.
Sure. I want to try and read more translation books.
Ah, yes.
I've
Okay.
got one with me, which I want to try and read.
The Travelling Cat Chronicles.
Yeah, I read The Guest Cat and I loved it, and that's
Yeah, it's
by a
lovely,
Japanese
isn't it?
author.
I got
And-
one for Christmas from Mrs. Davis.
Ah, yeah, I know a lot of people talk about how great Japanese translation books are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
very
thought that'd be
few.
a good place to start, and I want to try and read some more translation.
Okay, good.
I find myself not picking them up because I always think they're going to be a bit, daunting. I don't know why. I have really reading habits where I tend to just stick to what I know I like, but I want to try and branch out a bit. Yeah,
Okay.
I thought I'll start with Japanese translation books because I know I like those ones. So I've read a few, and then I'm going to broaden my horizons.
Definitely want to hear. Which ones have you read? Murakami? Because he's very.
Yes, I've got a few of those at home, and I have read it. Yeah, things like that.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to hearing
Something
more.
new.
And
Yeah.
and which
See
which
how-
languages the
Yeah,
translation
we'll
from
see.
as well.
Yeah.
Good.
I've got
Good.
The Alchemist. Is that translation?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've got
I'm
that
pretty
one.
sure
Yes,
that
it is, yeah.
Things like that. Things that
Okay. Excellent.
different things.
Thank you, Miss Rio. Miss Huntley, what about you?
Well, I haven't really got a resolution, except that perhaps to read some more adult of the award winners from the last couple of years, really,
Okay.
which I haven't had time to do much of. I have got to reread Hobbit. I've got to read the book about the Inklings. I've got to reread the Silmarillion. I've got to.
Remember we said about keeping it achievable.
Well, I've got to do this because that's my course in June.
Okay.
July,
So prepare for
to
course.
prepare for the course, you see.
Do all reading, prep reading for course.
Yeah, I mean that's really, I suppose that's Easter holidays and half term.
Well, there's nothing wrong with
You're
one
not
that has to be
writing, so
before
It has
we
to be
we
before
check up on
July, yeah,
everyone.
Yeah.
So it was the Inklings book and the Silmarillion. Good luck with the Silmarillion.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've only read it once, so I've really got to prepare for that. But also that
He's
builds
going, it's fine,
into.
just
Bye, Louise.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. That builds into Anglo-Saxon Norse as well, so it's quite, it's good crossover.
Okay.
Yeah. And yourself?
Oh, I thought I was going to get away with it. Especially when people are starting to go. So I'm going to, first of all, I've got about at least 10 books on my bookcase at home that have been sat there for ages. So I'm going to read all of those 10 books that I've been putting off reading for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, 2 or 3 of them are Christmas presents. But I'm going to get them all read by the time we check up on this in June.
10 books, that's doable for June.
Yeah, I'm not just going to read those books. I'm also going to make sure I read the whole of the Carnegie shortlist,
Oh wow.
Wow, okay.
Right.
which I have done
Gosh,
before.
Yeah.
So it's all new, but obviously to do it again. I think that'll, and also just keep reading in general. Let's say that I will also aim to read 3 books a month. Let's go with 3 books a month. I'll see if I can do that. Okay, so I've actually given myself quite a task there. So
Yeah, wow.
3 books a
You
month.
just have to stop adding stuff on. And then
I know. Well,
Keep it simple, keep it simple.
well, 3 books a month, including Carnegie shortlist, and the 10 or so books on my bookcase that I've been putting off reading.
The Carnegie books tend to be shorter reads. Well, actually, no, maybe they're
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Really, I guess,
Yeah.
and also whether they're, really get into a ball, as it were. So. Yeah.
I mean, I could just bear in mind some of those books are graphic novels.
those
So-
count.
Yes, they absolutely do count. Thank you.
Of course. Yes.
Right, so there you
Well,
go.
there we are then.
We got some really good resolutions there. So
Yes.
I'm gonna type all these up so we don't
Alright,
lose
so
them.
you're going to hold us to them then, right?
Oh
Okay.
yes, oh
Oh,
yes.
yes.
And I'll hold myself to it as well. We're all accountable. Okay, so
Excellent. Well, we look forward to hearing about everybody's in the future.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it's 5 o'clock. Well, it's gone 5. So excellent. Thank you for coming, everybody, and those who already parted. We say goodbye and see you next week.
bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.